Hello everybody, welcome to Idle Game Chat, the weekly video games podcast brought to you by Dimp Digital. My name is Apps and I'll be running the operations on this episode. This will be Dimp Digital's new home for our video games podcast. Previously we had been churning out our podcast under the very imaginative name of the Dimp Digital Podcast, but have decided to rename and rebrand it to make it a little bit more relevant to what we are talking about. If you are a returning listener, then thank you very much for joining us on our new home. If you're brand new, then welcome. We are grateful to have you on board. Just before we start, I will give us a little quick overview of what we plan to do here at Idle Game Chat. Essentially, this will be our weekly audio podcast where we talk about video games. That is pretty much it. We will talk about news within the industry, give our feedback on games that we've played, speculate, and maybe drop the odd game review as well. Typically, it will be me who leads the podcast, and I'll be joined by various members of the Dimp Digital team to chat about what has been going on. Last thing I should mention here, this is the most important thing, we are super casual here at Dimp Digital. None of us work in the video games industry. We just love playing games. We just love talking about them. And we're here first and foremost to have a good time. And it just so happens there's plenty of you out there that enjoy listening to this babble. And we'll carry on doing it as long as people are listening, as long as we're enjoying it. We are based in the UK, so our friends from other countries, you might not understand some of our quirky analogies or references, but I do try and give context where I can to any moments that I feel might be confusing. That is all the nonsense out the way with. Let me introduce the guys who will be joining me this week. They are two of the very original members of Dimp Digital. It's Logan and Hall. Gents, how you doing?
Yep.
A sterling intro there from Logan.
Yeah. Well, I'd just like to continue where we left off. I don't need to give them any sort of idea that I might be better than I am. I am what I am, and that is what I offer.
That is true.
It's poor.
Yeah, when we first started, we've done about, 73 episodes of the Dimp Digital podcast. When we first started, Logan actually started off trying to pretend he's anything other than useless. So yeah. just coming with Yep is perfect because that
really sets the tone.
That is what you're getting here if you've just tuned in for the very first time. But before we get into this week's topics and our main source of discussion, I do think, because we're going to have new people joining us, it'll be a good idea to give a brief introduction of our gaming preferences, because not only have our flavours probably changed over the past few years, but I think it's good to let people know what we like, what we don't like, so they can get an idea of how biased we're going to be during certain. That's basically what it comes down to.
Lay down the rules, yeah.
Yeah, and you know exactly who's going to be pulling for who. Logan, do you want to go first? Which systems do you own? What types of games do you like playing?
I have got an Xbox One, a PS4, a Nintendo Wii, an Xbox 360, if you want to still count that, and some shoddy laptop which just about runs the basics.
I am afraid.
Yeah, so my gaming preferences is, well, as we know, I am a mainly multiplayer focused gamer. That is where my main interests lie, but I have diversified into a little bit of single player campaigning. So, I mean, I'll be up for pretty much everything, really, as long as it's not... there's no Scrabblers. That is my number one golden rule. Scrabblers
no scary games. No Scrabblers.
No scary games or Scrabblers. And when he says Scrabblers, he means zombies. That's a little word we use.
I don't know Scrabblers anymore. Scrabblers are anything that's Scrabble.
That is a fair point. If you're going to just bluntly put everyone as Scrabblers, anything that Scrabbles, that's fine. Maybe it doesn't have to be zombies. It could be.
It's basically zombies. You don't get much other Scrabbling stuff, but like alien Scrabblers, I don't like that.
No,
right.
Anything scary, you will completely write off.
If it's got a jump scare in it, it's binned.
It's binned. But you're happy to watch people play it, though, aren't you?
Yes. Weirdly enough. Because I ain't the one getting jump scared. They are. I'm just watching them get jump scared. I play those games vicariously through others.
Well, that's not a bad way to do it. Hall, do you want to just give them the lowdown yourself?
Yeah, can do. Big Nintendo fan. Got a Wii and a Wii U, both currently set up. Also got the Xbox One, 360, and still rocking the PlayStation 2 in the living room at the minute. So,
how's that set up?
You got to have it, mate, just in case. You never know when a sterling PS2 title is going to come back from the dead. So. Yeah, got all of them set up. I play pretty much anything. I've probably got more into my online than I have story stuff over the last few years, just where I suppose there's not been loads that have come out that have really blown me away in terms of story. I think that's the main thing. If the right game comes out, I'll sink my teeth right into it. But I've not been overly impressed with current generation storylines at the moment, unfortunately.
Uncharted.
No, that is a common theme. And there's one important thing you've forgotten to mention there, Hall, and is that you are an achievement hunter.
I am a big time achievement hunter. Well, I have become a big time achievement hunter.
Yeah. Yeah.
There wasn't so much there on the last generation, but since the Xbox One's come out and Adkins has started to poke me, I've really got involved.
Yeah, so Adkins is currently leading the Dimp Digital Crew's leaderboard for achievement points. Hall has been hounding him, chasing him down over the past 12 months or so, and it's coming like a close battle. Adkins is now picking up Xbox games and playing those, so he's actually sort of nosing ahead a little bit further. But Hall, you are on fire when it comes to achievements. You get a few thousand a month, don't you, typically?
Yeah, well, I mean, the gap at the start of the year, well, even going into last year, end of last year, the gap between me and Adkins was about 35,000. He's kind of sitting at the mid-60s, and I was low, like high 20s, low 30s. And I really put my foot down a bit and was averaging sort of about 4,000 a month for a while. And now I'm 1,000 shy of 60,000 now. So I've closed the gap to about 4,000. But he's fucking gone and picked up Tekken and started busting out achievements on that. So I messaged him earlier when I saw him online. I was like, fucking hell, Adkins, cut the shit out. Stop that immediately.
He's got into the old Tekken flow because of the Tekken 7 announcement at
E3.
Yeah. Well, I best do myself. And I've got a PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and a very low-end PC. I do have a 360, but that is officially retired. I don't see myself ever going back to that. I spend most of my time on the PlayStation 4 for the third-party releases and the very few Sony exclusives that have dropped. Also, the Xbox is used just for Microsoft's exclusives and multiplayer games that don't have a good audience on the PS4 within the Dimp quarters. PC is reserved for PC-only titles, some indie games, and things like real-time strategies, which they're best to play on that platform. And I do prefer a single-player campaign over multiplayer. I love a good story, but I am open to most games, and I'll give anything a bash if someone recommends it to me or if it's getting a good reception. That is the introductions dealt with. Each time a new member appears on it, I'll ask them to do the same, so again, you can understand what is going through these guys' heads. We are about a week and a half removed from E3. As expected, an awful lot took place. We're not going to go blow by blow through every last announcement. Too many, it takes too long. Yeah. But I think having two Xbox owners here, it'd be stupid not to.
3 Xbox owners.
Oh yeah, of course, I've got one. I see, immediately, immediately I just go, nope, Sony.
Not interested.
Yeah, no, we've got 3 Xbox owners, of course. But we've all got an Xbox One, and Microsoft's hardware announcements is probably one of the bigger announcements at E3 this year. We've all got an Xbox One, as I said, and we know we're going to have the Xbox One S coming this August, which is basically a slimmed down version of the Xbox One. We then got the not so surprising news that Microsoft are also working on a beefed up Xbox One, currently titled Project Scorpio. The aim of this console is to bring 4K gaming to the home market, the home console market, and actually maybe introduce VR. They were a bit coy on giving specific details on that. One of the last things that Big Phil Spencer, and we love Big Phil here, said is that no one gets left behind. All games and accessories will be compatible regardless of which Xbox One you own. Now, before we delve into the magnitude of the announcement itself, that last point there, no one gets left behind. Logan, do you actually believe him when he says that? In same 3 more years' time, when developers have really got a grip on this Scorpio and they can look and say, right, what can we do with this? Are they still going to make stuff playable on the standard Xbox One?
I think so. You see, with Phil, I generally think that what he's saying.
Phil, by the way, we call him Phil. Yeah, we all know.
I was going to say, with Phil, when we're down the pub he's just like we don't know him that well. But anyway, continue.
The thing is, if we met Phil Spencer, Big Phil, I'm sure he would actually have kind of a pint with us. He's that sort of guy. Yeah. And that's the sort of guy I think he is. And I genuinely think he is a genuine guy. I think he is honest. I think what he says, he shoots from the hip. He says it how it is. I don't feel like most things from most companies nowadays, there's a lot of PR bollocks surrounding all of it. And I don't get that feeling from him. And I think you don't hear from anyone else really within Microsoft. It's always Big Phil. And yeah, when he talks, I listen, and what he says seems to ring true. And when he says, look, what we want to do is we want to make gaming accessible to whatever level basically you're gaming at. So if you've got a 4K TV, we don't want you sitting there going, but imagine how good it could be.
Right, yeah.
I think what he's saying is look, if you've got the money, if you've got a 4K TV, you're into all your tech, right? Let's be honest about it. And so if you've got one of them, and they are probably going to be the way forward quite shortly, I imagine in the next few years, they're going to become quite accessible to a lot of people. You'll get 4K streaming on the TV and whatnot. So it will be the way to go. And I think they will do that. But I don't see them going, nope, Scorpio only. I mean, unless it's a VR game, for example.
Well, yeah, I think that will be one of the kickers.
Yeah, it probably won't be available on the One. And I'm okay with that at the moment anyway, because I think that's a little way off from them by the sound of it. But I haven't got any problem with it at the moment. And if in 2-3 years' time they go, well, that's it now, you go, well, that's 5 years, job done.
Yeah.
So
it's not a bad way to look at
it. I'm not overly fussed about it in that I think that they're going to start retiring it. Because I honestly think anyway the console cycle is, if it's going to be done with, it's going to get shorter. Because we seem to be making sort of bigger leaps and bounds, if you like, in the realms of technology that we weren't doing 10 years ago. So I believe what he's saying. I think they will continue to do it, because I think, as we read in that interview that you sent round to us that he did at E3, he said that basically the money is in the games that they sell. The more people they are selling them games to, the more profit they rake in. They don't rake in profit from the consoles, really. So they want all these people, or as many people as possible, to have these games and be able to play them. So I fully expect them to keep it accessible for the next few years at least.
Yeah, I mean, the interview that Logan mentioned there, if you put in Metro Game Central onto Google, go onto their site, dig out the interview with Phil Spencer they published a couple of days ago, it's truly fascinating.
Great interview, sorry.
Yeah, he's quite frank in there about how honest he is, saying, well, look, I would actually prefer people to stay on the Xbox One because we're selling these Scorpios at a loss. So for me, if you sit there buying the software on Xbox One, I'm laughing. And he mentions that it is simply for 4K gaming. It's not, and that people aren't going to be left behind. That's what he's saying now. I mean, he doesn't have I don't know how much control they have over what publishers and developers decide to do with it once they get in their hands. But what he said about bringing it out early, saying, look, we're giving people 18 months notice so the developers can have a look at it now and start working on stuff. So we're going to see stuff for this in the next 18 months or so. Paul, let's take a look at the actual announcement itself, the entire announcement. From your perspective, you're an Xbox One and a Nintendo Wii U owner. You've got all the old stuff as well. Yeah. But you're primarily using the Xbox One, which you've had for just under 3 years.
Yeah.
Does the announcement of an Xbox One S or a Project Scorpio type thing excite you?
Initially, no, not really. I mean, they've made no qualms in that the Xbox One S is essentially the same console, just slightly smaller. Yeah, it's designed. It's an upgrade from the current. It's the same as when we had the PlayStation. PlayStation had been doing it for a few generations. Xbox had the Elite that came out. You know, PlayStation 2 got the slim line. PlayStation 3 got smaller. It's like this is not new, is it? It's cost saving, so it brings you a cheaper console. So it's kind of hitting the second wave of people that are coming out to buy the next generation consoles. Those that perhaps say, do you know what, I'm not going to play it enough to invest 350, 400 quid in it. But when it comes down to £200 in price, which these ones inevitably will, I mean, I think the initial start price is $299, so it's going to be $250 UK pretty much.
And that is impulse buy. Territory,
you're getting to the stage where it's, like I say, give them a few weeks, they'll probably be down at 200. Like, that's relative pennies nowadays. Like, it's not a huge investment like it is when a console first comes out. With regards to the Scorpio, if it is as, you know, as you mentioned, we've all read the interview, we've all looked through, we've got Phil's kind of opinion on it. If it is purely a 4K gaming console, I haven't got a 4K TV.
Yeah.
Maybe you might buy one in the coming future, but one of the reasons that I think a lot of people don't own them at the minute is because there's not that much out there that supports 4K.
And they're bloody expensive as well.
Well, I mean, they're coming down
because there's not a lot out there. They are coming down.
But again, it's like there's no point in having one if you're not going to utilize it. It was the same thing with HD when it came out. Everyone bought an HD telly and then went, "Fuck, we've not got anything in HD." You know, it's not like it is now. Yeah. So you know, if it is just that, it's not a huge impact, is it? It's not a huge selling point for those of us that have already got Xbox consoles. That said, I slightly disagree in that I think once people start to get their hands on the console, it's such a superior console in power to the Xbox One. It's like 4 times more powerful, 3.5 times.
6 teraflops, they keep saying. I don't know what that means, but 6 teraflops.
The PS4, you know, and you look at what the PS4 has done with, say, Uncharted, which looks phenomenal. We keep saying it's the first game that looks like a next generation console game. It's the first one that's everyone's really kind of taken a step back and gone, my God, this is.
That's why we bought a new console. Yeah.
I can't see people getting that much more power in the Scorpio and just going, well, it's just purely there to focus on getting it, scaling it up to 4, to putting it up to 4K. You can't. I mean, how are they going to do it? Is it just going to upscale to 4K, or is it going to downscale to HD to be compatible across all 3 versions of the console? There's a lot of unanswered questions, and personally, like I say, I think if you release the console with that amount of power and that much grunt within it, I just don't see the point in having it purely for VR, which is something that he's alluded that he doesn't think is ready yet, and purely upscaled graphics to 4K. Personally,
no, but we know there are people out there. That's the thing.
People will buy it. Absolutely, people will buy it. And you know what? If I already had a 4K TV, and that announcement gets made, like even the One S has got 4K upscaling for Blu-ray, hasn't it? So
yeah.
I mean, even that would be okay. It's a £200 Blu-ray player, you know, a 4K Blu-ray player. It's got. I mean, like you say, it's that'd be so cheap. It's almost an impulse purchase again, where I could almost justify it, but because I haven't got the TV, it's neither one of the consoles at this moment in time impact me directly at all.
No, and when we talk about impulse purchase, you're the king of that, aren't you? Because you actually went out to go and get a loaf of bread and come out of a Wii U.
Yeah. I do like a good impulse purchase. Like I have a habit of like I won't buy anything for a while, and then all of a sudden I'll go out and I might buy like 4 games at once, and then not play 3 of them. Like I'm terrible. I need my spending is sporadic and it's not planned at all. Like whenever I do try and plan out spending, as I was proved before the podcast, I don't follow through with it. So. Yeah, I need to get that under control really, but otherwise you'll speak to me in 3 weeks' time and I'll be like, yep, pre-ordered the Scorpio, job done.
Absolutely got that in the bag. I mean, one thing you could say, I mean, you look at the announcement itself.
Yeah.
As a business, and you go, right, we've got a new 1S. Okay, so we want people to buy that.
Yeah.
It's probably it's cheaper for us to manufacture. That's why the prices come down. We'll probably make the margins are probably better. So if you're a business and you want just the money. Surely you do the 1S, do that E3 and say nothing else. You know, let that come out in August. Let people buy it and go, oh, the new version, Then come November, come January, then come along and go, right, Scorpio's coming out as well.
Yeah, it is an odd.
So do you appreciate it? It is an odd one, but I actually appreciate the transparency here.
Yeah.
But they're not putting your pants down, because they could have quite easily done that and people would have been like, fucking hell, I've bought the wrong version. And that's the sort of thing that Phil was saying in that interview that he was trying to avoid. He didn't want people to feel they bought the wrong version. He's like, right, here's what we've got now, here's what's coming, here's what's in the future, make your own mind up.
Yeah, I mean, it depends again on, I think the markets for the S and for the Scorpio are 2 quite substantially different audiences. Yes. Like I say, I think the 1S is for the more casual gamers who are going to come in and go, do you know what, I haven't got a current gen, I'm going to buy it. And the Scorpio is going to be more for people like myself and you guys who have already got the console and might want to upgrade to get the 4K graphics. Not necessarily saying any one of the 3 of us would, because I don't think any of us will, but you know, I think it's probably more aimed at that market. Phil's come out and said that he's a gamer, and I think he's got more of a kind of a feel for what people want than most head of companies or head of studios, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but I'd agree with that. The guys before him certainly had
no fucking clue. Yeah, didn't know what people wanted. But I also wonder how much of the Scorpio's announcement was pushed by before E3, everyone was adamant that we were going to get the Sony 4.5 or the Sony 4K. Yeah. Everyone thought that was going to be Sony's big announcement. And Microsoft went first.
Yeah.
Went Scorpio. This is it. This is the future. And then PlayStation went, well, we are not going to announce anything actually. So, how much of it is just bad timing as well?
Yeah, maybe. Logan, are you going to be interested in either of these when they drop? You've got the 1S. Bearing in mind the 1S, you can pay for a more expensive model. And one of our pet peeves about both consoles this generation is that you get 500 gig. There's a 2 terabyte version knocking around with the 1S.
Yeah. Surely
to save you some hassle and headaches of deleting shit every 5 minutes.
I'm a compulsive deleter.
Before you finished it, or have you got to complete it?
Nah, so once it's done, I'll give it a bit of time on there to see if anyone goes back. But if I know it's done, it goes. That's it, done, washed. So 500 gig ain't a lot. It hasn't turned out to be a lot, but at the same time,
it's manageable.
It's manageable by deleting stuff. And I'm not too fussed about that. I wouldn't get it for more storage unless games start fucking cropping up to be 100, 200 meg. 200
well, when
meg, and I go, fucking hell.
Yeah, then you've got a real problem to deal with. The only thing I would say about the Scorpio in particular, this will be the last point before we move on, is you look at what's going on in Microsoft and I say Microsoft, I mean Microsoft, because it's no longer Xbox really anymore. It is the Xbox's vision of Microsoft, because we've seen lots of games and we're seeing lots of future games that will be coming to Windows 10 and Xbox One. So there's 2 platforms there. Previously, they'd keep them pretty separate. Now, they're merging it together. Microsoft is like, look, this is all one property. Why isn't it available on all platforms? We want all of our audience, regardless of what they've got, to be able to play it. Great. But does that nullify something like a Scorpio when, to be honest, Logan, you could go out if you wanted to. If you wanted the 4K experience and something that you knew you could keep on top of, you just go and get a gaming rig, wouldn't you, if that's what you're into? Because all the games that you're getting, all the third-party stuff's going to still be there. Yeah. All the Microsoft exclusives, they're not Xbox exclusives, they're Microsoft exclusives. You can get them on your Windows 10. They're going to be there, and you know that you can upgrade that bastard in a few years when it's losing its grunt a little bit.
I don't know. Is the answer? I mean, thinking about it from my point of view,
raises a good point, doesn't it?
I would probably prefer to go right £400, 4K done. For example,
so you'd prefer to get the Scorpio rather than fiddling?
No, not necessarily. I think in the same way that it just appeals in that you go, right, I've got it, it's done then. I don't have to worry about it. I can play my 4K game and I don't have to worry about 6 months' time, updating my motherboard, changing my graphics card, getting a new keyboard.
You haven't got to do that. You've only got to do that if you want it to look even better than it does. If you wanted it to stay as the Scorpio specs, you could do that and it won't get any worse.
It's going to be more expensive though.
Yeah, probably. That's what I'm saying. People that are buying the Scorpio are surely not. It won't be cheap, this thing. All reckon it's going to be about 500 quid.
People don't wear.
Oh, at least, I reckon.
At least?
Yeah.
Well,
it's 4.5 times, or 3.5 times rather, more powerful than the Xbox One.
6 teraflops. So that is.
What is a teraflop? Is that like a massive floppy disk?
Phil doesn't even know what it is. He just got told to say that. He's like, well...
Keep mentioning the teraflops, Phil.
Not even a good word.
No, I don't know. It's growing on me.
What happened to terabits and terabytes? Maybe that's the one up from that, isn't it? A flop.
Yeah, maybe a flop.
Bit by flop.
I don't know about this whole 4K gaming rig business.
You're going to stay away from it, aren't you?
I'm staying away from it because, look, the way I see it, I bought HD TV a year ago. Well, I've had one for the lounge or whatever.
Right, okay.
I bought it for the lounge, and I deemed that perfectly fine and good. And it was 350 quid. And it's not some shit make.
Well,
so
no, they are coming down. That is the thing. That is the good thing at 4K. If you want to get on HD train, everything gets absolutely tumbled out there. That's enough of Xbox hardware. Keeping with the E3 theme, I asked you guys to go away and pick your top 3 games that you saw at E3 2016. So those that have gotten your attention, that you've looked at and you thought, that looks quite interesting, whether it's just a demo, whether it's a gameplay demo, whether it's just a trailer, whatever. So you've given me your list here. We're going to start with Hull.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with Sea of Thieves from Rare.
Yeah.
Now, this caught my eye last year.
Yeah.
We saw relatively little of it, and this year we got to see a full demo of it in play. Well, not a full demo, but a cut-together demo. And my initial impression was, looks super fun.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that Rare have been. I mean, we said this last year. We had this discussion on the previous E3 podcast of, it looks good. Like you say, they didn't show much of it then. I'm glad that Rare have generally on the 360 been confined to making fucking Kinect games, and they have pounded out so many top class titles in the past that it just seemed absolutely sinful that they'd been confined to that and that alone. And it looks like Microsoft have kind of let them run wild with this one. And I it wasn't what I was expecting.
No.
I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be first person.
Oh right, okay,
for starters.
Fair enough.
But the gameplay demo that I saw, I thought looked absolutely brilliant. I can imagine it'd be loads of fun if you've got 3 or 4 of you storming around on a ship, generally just being pricks to other people. Just you could waste an afternoon on it quite happily.
You're being a pirate,
yeah, exactly.
And they were pricks. They were plundering all sorts.
Exactly, looting and pillaging and all sorts. Yeah, but yeah, I think it looks great.
Now the question I've got to ask is, is it because it's Rare? Is that giving it a little bit of extra oomph for you? Because I know you like Rare. You've played a lot of their games in the past. Is that sort of a little bit of fanboyism coming out?
Oh, absolutely. But
just admits it.
Yeah, but I mean, we've admitted to this again in the past that we all have studios that we like. We all have publishers that we like. There's people that we trust, and there's people that we don't. And
sure, that is it. The trust.
Yeah, those that have let us down in the past, you're going to avoid, and those that have consistently delivered, you're always going to be slightly more warming to their new titles. Like a lot of people would have looked at this and gone, doesn't look all that. But I've had a very slight glaze to it because like you say, it's Rare, and I love Rare, and I love all this stuff that they've done in the past.
Apart from the Kinect.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't really classify them. That's not really their fault, unfortunately. But I loved Rare Replay, for example. Played that for 8.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a good way of looking at it. It is to do with trust rather than fanboyism. You're right. The word trust is definitely applicable to games. My only concern with this, and it always is, I've mentioned single player man mainly. I will play multiplayer, but this looks like a must-play co-op only experience.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm on the right tracks with that? If I'm playing it on my own, it's going to be a struggle.
That's exactly what I was thinking to myself. My only initial fear of it is how fun is it going to be as a one player. Obviously, they didn't show loads of it at E3. They showed enough to sort of whet people's appetites, but until you see a little bit more about what's going to go on in the game and what's going to happen and how much there's going to be to do as a one, or whether it's purely just kind of sea combat style roaming around, I think it's definitely going to be another one of these ones that's hugely improved by playing with friends.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Logan, you must have seen Sea of Thieves. You've seen it happening. Are you going to jump on this with us when it comes out?
I like a good multiplayer, don't I?
Yeah, you've got to jump on. It'll be, set up our own crew, the Dimp Pirate Crew, something better name. Idle Pirate, nope, it's getting worse. So I think it's going to need to be. I think it's teams of 4 or 5 you need on it. So
you and 3 friends.
Yeah, so that's easily doable. I think on the Xbox One, it's a good coup for them as well because it is going to be on Microsoft platforms only. So PlayStation owners stung out of that. Logan, we're going to come on to you now because you've picked out 3 as well. We'll go for your first pick that you gave me. Very surprised to see this in here, considering the hype levels that you've had for Titanfall 2. I thought that's going to be the one. It's going to be Titanfall 2 and then whatever else he's stumbled across on his lunch or whatever. But you've actually not put Titanfall 2 in. It doesn't make the top 3. No. You've gone for Battlefield 1, DICE, World War 1, multiplayer and campaign, first-person shooter. What has got your goat ear?
This game, it's very rarely do I pick up a game or sort of get a sniff at a game and really latch onto it to a point where I'm following them on Twitter, watching all their videos. Like,
you're not, are you?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, how's that happened?
And we know that I've been sniffing for one of these sorts of games for a long time.
An old school World War 1 or 2 shoot. That's what you've been asking over.
And by the looks of it, my God, are they going to deliver this? My God, are they going to deliver it? I think this might be one of those games where they go, right, this is the standard now for these kind of games. These are sort of so you got Titanfall, you got Call of Duty, you got Battlefield. They're all sniffing around each other really. I've got a feeling that this Battlefield will blow them out the park.
Right.
I genuinely think it's going to be that good, and I don't think it's going to get the attention it deserves. So everyone goes, "Oh, it's just another Battlefield doing exactly the same, reskinned," and it really isn't.
Do you think people won't say that? They'll play it and go, "Shit, this is a step up."
I'd like to hope so, because to me, everything about it, everything I've read and seen, is indicating to me that this is going to be phenomenal. Like, genuinely a phenomenal game. And every time I watch any of the cinematics or gameplay, I just go, wow. Like, honestly, it looks so epic. That is the only word for it. It looks like it's got so many epic moments. And from what I've been reading, it looks like they've balanced it quite well as well. Yeah. And the little tweaks that they've made to it from previous Battlefield games, I think, are really going to set it apart. Honestly, this for me is going to probably trump, or I've got more excitement for this than I have for Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare Remastered.
That is your favourite game of all time.
And that is my favourite game of all time. And I am so excited for Battlefield 1.
So more excited. We know you've written off COD Infinite Warfare, so that's been binned. So Titanfall 2. Titanfall was a darling amongst us three, wasn't it? You know, when it came out on Xbox One.
Loved it.
We played it. We all loved it. Yeah, we played it more than what probably most people did. A lot of people seemed to go, "Oh, fell away after it." We didn't. We was playing it months and months and months.
Years.
We thought it was great. Well, years, It was after. It was a year after. We're still playing it, you know, occasionally. And so I was expecting Titanfall 2 to take the championship here. Are you saying that you're looking forward to Battlefield 1 more than Titanfall 2, considering we've seen a lot from both this past E3?
Yeah, I am 100% looking forward to Battlefield 1 more. And that is almost getting to become a day one purchase for me.
Wow. Well, it's October 21st for that release date. Titanfall 1 week later, and then I think COD's a couple of weeks after that in November, but it is a crammed time. So, well, it's coming out first, so it's going to get first dibs in Logan's plate. Quake Champions for you, Hall.
Yeah.
Is your second pick. Very surprised to see this on here.
More just
simply. Go on.
I was just going to say, it's more just that I'm pleased that that it's been announced. We were all saying, I mean, me, you, and Adkins, I think, were discussing, and you know, there's been a lot of reboots of kind of these old style, the original first-person shooters. And you know, we've had the Doom remaster, or the Doom sort of reboot, if you want.
Remake, like Wolfenstein as well.
Yeah, really, to kind of re-kick the whole franchise into gear. And we were, well, certainly me and Adkins were both saying that Quake's got to be the one that's next. Surely it's got to be Quake next. And it looks absolutely spectacular. My only qualm with it is that it looks like it's going to be PC only, but
Master Race.
Not a huge surprise to me, to be completely honest.
No, that's where their audience is.
Yeah, exactly. I was completely anticipating it. It looks like it's going to be like a throwback again to old school competitive Quake. So really fast paced. They're saying that it's going to run at 120 FPS. It's going to, I know, which is crazy. It's going to be epic. It's going to be Quake all over again, but just bashed into the current era.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a sick that it's on.
Yeah, it's killer that it's only on. Yeah, but it looks brilliant.
It's killing, but it's understandable because
absolutely
you're gonna struggle to get 60 out of these things sometimes. So if they want it super smooth, their audience is already sitting there playing Quake 3 Arena, playing a bit of Quake 4. They're all still there. Quake Live, they're all there still.
Yeah, there's still quite a big competitive community for Quake, and you know, it's hardly surprising that they've then said, right, it's not so much a reboot, it's more just that it's the next one in the franchise, because they do leave quite a big gap between their games. So I mean, I remember playing the original Quake on my N64 and loving it. So Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it's coming back. It won't be one that I'll probably pick up just purely because I haven't got the gaming rig to run it. But if in the future Microsoft look like, I mean, one of the other things about Sea of Thieves is Microsoft said you buy it on Xbox, you own it already on Windows 10, like, and
Play Anywhere.
their Windows Play or their Microsoft Play Anywhere. So I think a lot more games are going to be doing that, and you know, I'm still getting achievements on Windows 10, like, so that's no longer a deciding factor for me.
No.
You know, maybe it will be the time to sort of say bye-bye to consoles and slowly upgrade towards PC.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I think the thing with Quake is, because it's obviously Bethesda that publish it, a lot of the Play Anywhere stuff's going to be Microsoft's
Yeah.
in-house stuff. But if like you said, if you're already slanting towards phasing out an Xbox One into a gaming rig because of the Windows and the Play Anywhere for your Xbox games,
Yeah, I mean, I just think it kind
it's
of
a possibility.
it's best of both worlds, isn't it? Because or 90% of your Xbox stuff is probably going to be available on Windows 10 through the
I reckon
Microsoft Play
100. I
Anywhere.
reckon going forward, 100% will.
So
I reckon going forward they'll make sure everything's on both.
it's a no-brainer because then you've not only got all your Xbox bits and pieces, you've got all your Steam stuff and all your Origin stuff. You know, I don't know. It's going to be difficult to compete.
Yeah. It's interesting times for sure. We'll move on to your second pick, Logan. Surprising to see this on there. It would be on mine probably, but I've got trust in these guys. You've gone for Detroit Become Human, Quantic Dreams.
Yeah.
Who I actually am one of the few people that are a big fan of their games. They started off with Okiron in 1999, then moved on to Fahrenheit, which is actually Fahrenheit was their second game. I played it on PlayStation 2 that would have been. And there's a PlayStation 4 remaster of Fahrenheit coming 18th of July. So look out for that if you've got a passing interest or if you've enjoyed the likes of Heavy Rain and the most recent Beyond Two Souls. Definitely go back and play Fahrenheit. It's going to be about, I think it's $15 in the US, so 10 quid over here. But since 1999, they've actually only churned out 4 games. So that's not a great output if you look at the actual quantity. But what has got you interested in Detroit Become Human? Because this has got no multiplayer from what I can see. So it's story based.
Yeah.
You know, you maybe look at it like a Telltale. Not a lot of shooting going on. Right. You just mentioned Battlefield. Yeah. How's this getting on there?
You see, this is the part of my diversity tactic that I've been employing for the past 12 months.
Yeah. Educating Logan.
Yeah. It's a fascinating idea and story. And the fact that an event almost happens, or that they show you the event that happens, then you and your choices going forward affect the outcome. So that is the main draw for me in it, is that we see these Telltale games and we go, right, good stories. Obviously, graphically, game engine, it's a bit...
Don't pull any punches, it's garbage. Performance and graphics. Not graphics, actually, because I quite like their art style, but the performance, the way they run, trash.
Yeah.
I love Telltale.
Yeah. I fucking
love them, but
that might be a bit harsh.
No, it's...
Paul, when you play as many as I have, all of them struggle. You can play it on a PC, 60 fucking whatever you've got, 6 teraflops, it'll still stutter like a bastard.
Oh, what? Yeah, really? I haven't had that with any of them.
Honestly, mate, you're living in a dream world.
Stuff pings in and out. It's
where they just cut things. There's some weird stuff that happens. You just think,
they just go, we're not
never had a
problem.
So I'm obviously must be one of the lucky ones. But anyway, sorry.
I don't think it's a luck. I think you've just
glazed over.
Maybe I'm just oblivious to it.
Just having a fucking beer during it, you ain't been picking up on it. I'm telling you.
Destroyed by the end of it. All my characters are dead, and I just walk away happy.
Well, weren't any problems.
Yeah, exactly. Best game I've ever played.
So you saying Detroit Become Human kind of takes away that issue, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it looks like, I'm very careful to do it, but it looks like almost a bridging between you affecting a story properly, not just fucking this predetermined bollocks, but you literally affecting how your story goes, and it looking and performing brilliantly at the same time.
Yeah, they do. They always were superb-looking games. Beyond Two Souls, fantastic for its time on the PlayStation 3. And you're right. Oh yeah. I mean, I love Fahrenheit, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls. I didn't play Omicron. I didn't get a chance to play it. It's actually got David Bowie in it, believe it or not. God rest his soul. He's in that. And actually, I've actually got that for free on Steam somewhere, so we'll sit down and play that. But yeah, where was I going with that? Yeah, so those games in particular, like you said, you can affect the story quite heavily. Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain, you could actually not Beyond Two Souls, ignore that, but Heavy Rain, you played multiple characters, and you could get them killed in the first hour, and they don't come back.
Yeah, no game over was there. It was just like, right, that bit, your story's dead. Like,
yeah, you just lose that arc of the story.
Gone.
Yeah, so they're not afraid to do things like that and stick by it. But I think that's an interesting choice from you. I mean, they are a bit of a chalk and cheese with people if they like them or not. A lot of people don't like Quantic Dreams games. I'm in the fanboy boat, or the trust boat, should I say?
Yeah.
That's what we call it for now. And it's good to see that they might be getting another supporter.
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on it. It's not traditionally the sort of game that I'd be interested in, but when I was watching some of the stuff from E3, that did pique my interest as something that looked a bit different and a bit not risky, but
I'll tell you what, the storyline on that could be amazing.
Exactly.
The whole having androids, are they human? Do they deserve rights? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot of friction between. I love it. If they
all
can
that
do
as well, like all the AI stuff and androids, and that all fascinates me as well. So the setting, the story, the game style seems really appealing.
Yeah, absolutely. Hall, your final pick. Another surprise, to be honest. You've gone for Insomniac Games Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Not a surprise, because the trailer they showed looked amazing. All trailers do to a certain extent, but honestly, to me, Spider-Man is the perfect video game superhero to have. Just as his powers, I think, lend themselves really well to just playing in a game. But what is it that's got you excited about Spider-Man? Is it his white spider in his suit? 'Cause a lot of people got a problem with that.
No, that wasn't one of the deciding factors. One of the things for me, I think we can pretty much I think we'll all agree that generally games that come over from films are dreadful.
Yep.
90% of them are absolutely shocking, especially if you try and stick to a storyline that films put out. There's not been many great ones in the past, and one of the last ones that I really enjoyed was
Lego.
Which Star Wars? Battlefront? Well, you played that for a long time, didn't you?
All of them. It's a good game. It just didn't get the support it needed. Battlefront. Great.
Poor. But anyway, yeah. And the last one that I played a lot was a previous Spider-Man game on PlayStation 2, which, like you say, just lends itself to being part of a video game. Web slinging around a city, the fighting style, all those bits and pieces. And, Insomniac have done some great series in the past. They know what they're doing. They're a well-established studio. They've been around for a long time. So, yeah, I'm gonna give them benefit of the doubt. They haven't got. I mean, what I'm worried about is that as part of the Marvel Civil War films and all this bollocks, and Spider-Man cropping up in the latest film and.
Oh, spoilers.
Don't fucking, whatever you do, don't go, Spider-Man film, convenient timing for our Spider-Man game that's coming out.
Yeah, so what I've read...
Keep them separate.
What I've read is Insomniac are not tied to any film release, any film story. It is their own project. This is a passion project for them, so it won't be influenced or compromised by the film.
Fucking keep it that way. Because I'm not going to buy another shitty tie-in to a film where stuff's been rushed out because they've got to hit a release date or blah, 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 blah. Make the game you want to make it how players are going to want to play it, and that will be, I'm sure, a very, very entertaining game.
Yeah, agreed. The only trouble we got with that one is, Spider-Man, PS4 exclusive.
Well, yeah, if that's the case, then that's the case. Well, it is the case because I think Insomniac are tied into PlayStation, aren't they? But
we had Ratchet and Clank come out, so it won't be available on the Xbox. So that means you have to go out and buy one.
Well, I mean, if it comes down to it, then maybe. But this was the stuff that I've been impressed by at E3.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't going to if I tied myself into the stuff that's exclusively for Xbox and Nintendo. Well, I mean, there is obviously the Nintendo title that everyone's blown away by, but I think we're going to come on to that in a bit. So
yeah, exactly. So there we go. That is Hall's 3. Sea of Thieves, Quake Champion, Spider-Man. Logan, your last one. You've put Death Stranding on there. I don't know how this has made it on there. We don't know anything about this game. We've seen one teaser trailer with Norman Reedus holding a baby. It's got a wire coming out of it with oil fucking everywhere. Dead whales, dead crabs. How on earth's this got in there? Is it just that Norman Reedus is in it? Because I know you're a big fan of The Walking Dead.
A little bit. No, I've picked this one not as necessarily as a game that I am massively going to be interested in. I mean, I might do depending on what it is, but look, let's be honest. It looks a bit supernatural.
Well, yeah, it's Kojima. It's going to have something.
Yeah. But I just think it's going to be a fascinating one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Because, look, let's be honest. Norman Reedus is great.
Yep.
Kojima is great.
Genius, some would say.
Yeah. To me, it sounds like it might be a match made in heaven.
That's it. It's the combination, is it?
I think that's a brilliant combination.
It's the partnership.
Because you see a lot of actors coming into gaming now, and it's going to become more prevalent, what with motion capture and all the other shit they've got. And I just think that could be really good. And the trailer was fascinating, actually. It was
fucking weird, but I'll give you that. It was fascinating.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like
fucking weird.
It was just a bit like out there. And I quite liked the fact that it was out there, and it didn't really give anything away. It was just, as it sort of went on, it just got weirder and more confusing.
Yeah, it was odd. I mean, I love the Metal Gear Solid series, the whole franchise, great job. And Kojima was taking the piss sometimes then with what he's done. Part of me does dread to think what he's going to do now that he's got a free rein to go completely off the boil. He's got no narrative to follow. He can literally go whatever pops in his head and go, oh, we'll do that, and it'll just be craziness. But it's intriguing if nothing else.
I like a bit of intrigue.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what you want, don't you? That's what you're there for, E3. Little surprises, little bits of intrigue, stuff that you go, oh, maybe we'll have a little look at that.
Tell you what that game screams. It screams that Kojima's gone fucking mental, been given about $1 million fucking bazillion pounds, and they've gone, make whatever game you want, and he's gone, well, I'm just going to go fucking berserk and do like the oddest fucking thing I possibly can, and everyone's going to cum their pants over it, and shock horror, people have gone, oh, Kojima's latest game.
Well,
what we need is Norman Reedus looking like he's had a cesarean, holding a baby. Like,
that was it. That did happen.
Yeah. It's like,
it looks like it's been cut out.
What the fuck is going on?
As I say, I watched it and I just went. I just thought I was gonna go FIFA 17, but I just thought this is a bit more interesting than that.
Well,
yeah. I mean,
it is.
I had this down on my list as one of the ones because everyone's talking about it. Already, it's it's something, that something's made it when it's achieved internet meme status, and it's like people are already screaming out about this, and just like no one knows, do they? They can't tell whether it's just a huge prank by Kojima. Or,
it might
could be. That's the thing. Kojima could just be fucking having a laugh.
Wouldn't put that past Reedus either.
Oh, exactly.
They'll both be all over that. Oh my god, I hope so. That'd be the funniest thing ever.
That'd be the best E3 prank anyone's ever played.
Oh dearie me. Well, that's your 6 there, your top 3. So, Sea of Thieves for Hull, Quake for Hull, Spider-Man for Hull, Battlefield 1 for Logan, Detroit Become Human for Logan, Death Stranding for Logan. Now, out of all those 6 titles, only one of them has a release date, and that's Battlefield 1, October the 21st, 2016. By all accounts, the other 5 are going to be waiting fucking 18 months to play or longer, depending on what goes on. Last piece on E3 2016, and we can't close the door on E3 really without talking about one of the most shrewd and intelligent things Nintendo has done in a while. They went, no press conference. No, don't need it.
Yeah.
We've got one game to show you. That'll be on the demo floor. It's only the biggest franchise we do. It's called The Legend of Zelda. I don't know if you've heard of it. We're going to do a Treehouse event. We'll talk about Pokemon Sun and Moon. We'll talk about a bit of Dragon. We'll do all that in between it. But we're going to spend fucking hours streaming The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, heavily demoed and was playable on the show floor. Lots of coverage. This will be the first console Zelda since Skyward Sword in 2011. Hall, you are the Nintendo man. You are the Zelda fan.
Yep.
Talk to me about what you've seen and read about Breath of the Wild. First off, are you excited for this?
Do you know what? I wasn't that bothered. Purely because we've been waiting for it. Like, once again, E3 last year.
Yeah.
Sat there discussing this, Final Fantasy VII Remaster and Shenmue. You know, they were the ones that I was saying, yep, need them, and we've heard nothing about 2 of them. But this one's poked its head up again. Coming into E3, I said, look, Nintendo needs to do something fucking good here to do with Zelda.
Let's just quickly preface this because before they went in, everyone was saying, what a ridiculous move.
Yeah.
Why only show one game? What a load of fucking idiots.
I mean, the thing, how much of this is a cover up of what else, the lack of anything else they've got to show
don't get me wrong, they've lucked out the fact that it looks fucking great.
It's a different factor, yeah. I mean,
but it's so good that it doesn't matter. That whole nonsense of it not being a good idea is just gone. Everyone's like, no, this is game of the show. This is getting this.
It's really taken the title, hasn't it? In terms of, like you say, for being game of the show. I mean, from what they've shown of it, it looks fucking brilliant. Every piece from old Zelda games that you've wanted. Yeah. Seems to have been included. There's just so many crazy good bits to do with it. They've incorporated some basic level crafting. You know, there's a world clock, so day and night passes.
Survival elements.
Yeah, survival elements. Like even little things like dynamic weather. So like sometimes it rains, sometimes it snows, sometimes whatever else. You know, your character gets cold, so you have to put on more clothes. Like, don't get me wrong, it's stuff that's more indicative of a world. Like RPG rather than a Zelda game typically. Like Zelda games are generally about questing, and that's been pretty much it. But with Nintendo, it just looks like it's been done so fucking well that it's just going to fit seamlessly into this game. This game is going to be, I'm hoping, is going to be the best Zelda game that we've ever had, which is an outrageously high bar as far as I'm concerned, due to the fact that probably out of my top 5 games of all time, probably 2 of them are Zelda games.
Yeah,
you know, but it looks spectacular. They've said that the main problem that a lot of people were worried about is that the world looked a bit too big and a bit too barren. But they've basically said that there is going to be loads of NPCs and villages and bits and pieces, but they took them out
settlements
because they didn't want to spoil it at E3. They didn't want to let people play too much of the game and spoil their experience when it actually came to it, because there was going to be more than enough for them to just wander around in that 5 hours they were doing the broadcast or whatever. So. Yeah, like you say, they took a bold gamble in doing that to hide cracks of lack of other bits and pieces to show, and it seems to have paid off for them.
Yeah, I mean this does look incredible. A true open world. There's all sorts of things. You can stealth creep in this. You can crouch and creep up on animals. You have to, you don't pick up hearts anymore to eat. You have to gather food. It's got all these little. It's taking little bits, and like you said, you mentioned it right, the RPGs, but it's taking the survival bits. It's kind of taken from Don't Starve for those that have played that, like crafting food, all that sort of bit, getting clothing, armor. It's taking all little bits and then putting them in this Zelda world that everyone knows and loves, and maybe not everyone, but a lot of people know and love. Giving it that paint and then giving it the Nintendo polish that you expect, and it always happens.
Yeah.
Very rarely they develop anything that's complete shit. The only thing I would say is this. I mean, typically with a Zelda game, the reason why I'm a big fan of them, I've not even played that many of them, but I've always been a fan of them ever since looking at what they've done. They've always showed innovation.
Yeah.
That's how I've come to appreciate Zelda for what it is. Do you think they are borrowing a bit too much from other genres and putting it into this game? And people will go, oh, the Legend of Zelda Skyrim edition. Is that a concern? They're not going to be doing the innovation that you come to expect from a Zelda title, because this is the flagship franchise for me on Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because I don't want them to go, like I said about the RPG piece there, and the bits that they've shown look good, but you don't want it to go too far into that. You still want it to be a Zelda game at heart. I still want there to be, X amount of dungeons that you have to go through. Sure. I know they've got that, but I don't want to have to get halfway through a dungeon and then think, fuck, have I got enough food on me to finish off the rest of this dungeon? Yeah. Or do I need to nip outside and kill some animals and craft some more, There's got to be a balance between the two. And I have faith in Nintendo to get it right.
Yep.
But it's gonna be tough. The anticipation is there as well, that we've been waiting for this game for so fucking long. Like, they've been talking about it since the Wii U essentially came out. It was like when the Wii U was first coming, it's like, oh yeah, the first Zelda game on the Wii U is going to be phenomenal. And like you say, this has become their leading franchise now that Mario's we've had Mario Maker and Mario Party and a couple of others, but it's not like, I mean, the last proper sort of proper Mario game in my eyes that we've had was probably Mario Galaxy 2. We haven't had much since Galaxy 2. So I feel like they're putting a lot of eggs into this basket, so they need to get it right.
Yeah. So the last question, brief one. Wii U or NX? So the rumour is, not the rumour, Nintendo have said as much. This will launch side by side on the Wii U and NX, so it'll be a launch title for the NX. Do you go we don't know what the NX is, so you have to answer that without knowing what we're talking about. But would you be tempted to go, right, Wii U dead, NX installed for Zelda to get the most, to hopefully the best version of this title?
Yeah, I'm going to play it on whichever consoles like I deem to be better or more powerful. If the NX is like a handhold,
right, yeah, sure,
style,
which could happen.
like not as powerful as the Wii U, I'm absolutely going to buy it on the Wii U. If the NX is a next gen console that is a successor to the Wii U, I'll buy the NX on release
for this game.
Yeah.
Excellent. My rule was, until I get another Super Mario Galaxy or something of that equivalence and a Zelda game, I'm not touching a Nintendo console. It looks like it's going to have to wait for the NX for me, but I am excited because I do want to play this game, so I've got to make a choice somewhere. And if I know that the NX version is superior, it's hard to turn that particular piece down. Now, to cap this particular episode off, we do have our very first question from our fans. Idle Game Chat's first question. Now, we did about I think we've done 73 episodes of the Dimp Digital podcast and got about 3 questions in total.
Yeah.
This is a great start.
Off to a solid start.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, this comes from our Facebook page, facebook.com/Dimp Digital. It's from longtime fan Jamie Rumble. Jamie asks, with Video Game Nation getting cancelled, do you still think there is a lack of audience or backing for computer game shows within mainstream TV media? Excellent question. So to set the scene, Video Game Nation was the only video game TV show, to my knowledge, on UK television. It ran for just under 2 years. It was a weekly magazine show. They'll cover new releases, do reviews, top 10s, challenges amongst their staff. And about 3 weeks ago, they announced that Challenge TV, which is the broadcasting partner, had decided not to renew the show, and as such, it will be coming to an end. So it's gone. That's it.
Binned.
It's absolutely gone. Binned. Going back to Jamie's question, Logan, is there a lack of audience for these shows? I watch this every week, and I think to you, Logan, I even mentioned, you should pick this up and watch it. Did you actually watch this show ever?
Yeah. After you've been speaking about Nintendo for 10 minutes, you do need to be giving me a prod. That's all I'd ask for.
You need to be alert, don't you?
No. I don't know who's sitting there and watching that sort of stuff now, though. I think,
why is that, though?
Well, because of Twitch and streaming and YouTube.
The internet.
Yeah, the internet, basically, I think, has changed the dynamic of what people are watching. Like, for example, I would much rather sit there watch some of the stuff I watch on YouTube or whatever. Hall would probably rather sit there and watches on Twitch and those things rather than watching a video game show. I don't know. I mean, that's from a point of ignorance as well, because I haven't watched it.
It's always a point of ignorance from you.
Of course it is. I do. It's the first episode, though. I have to put that disclaimer in. So
yeah, that is true.
I think that's just. I think it had a time, and I think the time's gone, and I think it's evolved to be more Twitch and YouTube and probably a few other mediums as well on the internet where people would rather watch stuff. It's a shame because it feels like it's the end of an era, really.
Yeah, I mean, there is... Dara O'Brien's got this show coming up on Dave later this year, which is another UK classic channel. It's called Go 8-Bit, and that'll be celebrities facing off in gaming challenges. So that'll be the next thing that comes along. It might have a little bit more traction because it's got someone like Dara attached to it. But Hall, there's certainly people out there playing video games. There's millions. Very, very big market, but you agree that the market or the consumers have shifted away from consuming their media through television. It is all internet based.
Yeah, I mean, television's dead for it essentially. I mean, I still remember back to the days of rushing home from school to watch Games Master with Patrick Moore. Like that was the go-to game, and like even when we used to have like the Super Mario cartoons on television and stuff. Like, this was the stuff that I was itching to watch as a youth.
Sonic the Hedgehog show.
Exactly. Like I used to love all this bollocks. Like I'd be absolutely, like I say, running home from school in a desperate attempt to catch them on the television. And now it's just not there. Kids don't like. The thing is, the only
they're on tablets.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the stuff that the only stuff that's still kind of going now is like on ESPN occasionally you might catch like a competitive tournament of League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Dota, one of these. Like sometimes ESPN cover esports in like a big way, but because it's all on Twitch, no one's watching it on ESPN. Like, I'm certainly not. I'm watching it on the comfort of my own, on my pad or on my laptop or on my phone.
Yeah.
I just feel like the medium's kind of we've moved on from the medium of television, and the internet is so prevalent. Like, how many people have smart TVs? I don't want to watch.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
If a program like that was to run on a weekly segment on, say, YouTube, would it do slightly better? Maybe, maybe not. But the thing is, it's got so much to compete with it on YouTube. Like, you look at all the big gaming sites and big gaming companies like IGN.
Yeah.
Dimp Digital. Yeah, exactly. You know, we're all putting our voices out there.
Mentioned in the same breath, exactly the same sort of companies doing the same sort of stuff.
Pretty much on a par now. I mean, I think it's fair to say.
I think they would agree with that.
Our one question that's come in has proved that.
Well, it's got quality in it at least.
Yeah. But you know, there is literally millions of people doing exactly that thing. You know, the market for it has become so diluted as everyone goes off to watch their own preference. You know, like you take a YouTube video, for example, if someone gets, you know, even a moderately decent sized channel gets 300,000 views on a YouTube video, that is a huge success. If something that's on television gets 300,000 viewers, that is horrendous. Like, that is a really bad viewing figure, you know? So like I say, the market's changing, the audience is changing. It's just not viable anymore for people to be putting those kind of bits and pieces on television.
No, and I think one thing, if you're helping produce this or fund this, a television show is so expensive.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's
just think of the money that there's so you can understand why firms move to an internet platform because it's cheaper for them to run, and people like Challenge TV, you know, it's Challenge TV at the end of the day. It's not a dedicated gaming. They gave it a couple of years, and that, you know, they probably thought, well, if they're helping fund any of that, it's just got to be binned because it's not getting us anywhere out of this. It can go on the internet if it needs to be. Sadly, the guys have said they're not going to do it on the internet because it won't get enough money. Essentially, was the long and short of it. But a good question. Keep them coming if you are interested in hearing our babbling thoughts about any of your questions you've got. Now, I'm going to quickly do the game releases for next week, and I'm going to close this down. So, starting on Tuesday, the 28th of June, we've got Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens. That is available on literally every platform you could say. 360, PS3, Wii U even, Jesus. Xbox One, PS4, PC, 3DS, and PlayStation Vita. Also on Tuesday, you've got the Technomancer on Xbox One, PS4, and PC. And also Resident Evil 5 Remaster on Xbox One, PlayStation 4. It's Tuesday, the 28th of June. Games released on the Wednesday. You've got a game called Inside, which was one of the Idea Xbox's chief. He says this game's a masterpiece, one of the best games I've ever played. And I'll tell you what, it better fucking be after you said that. And that comes out Wednesday.
Really put himself on the line.
He has. It wasn't even his game. He was talking about it. He's like the big boss for the indie games within Microsoft. But I was like, good Christ. Yeah, but the trouble is, Hall, to be fair, I might believe him because it's the guys who've done Limbo. So
good game but not best game ever released on fucking Xbox, is it?
Nasty bastard.
Dozy prick.
Come on. Friday the 1st of July. Star Ocean Integrity and Faithlessness. PlayStation 4. 7 Days to Die. Xbox One and PlayStation 4. That is the Telltale game published title. Very interested to see how that turns out. I've seen nothing to do with that. Mountain Blade Warband, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Eyes of Heaven, PlayStation 4, and Prison Architect, which I've got on Steam. Great game on the PC, is coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4. So that is a wrap. The very first Idle Game Chat is in the books. The pressure is off. We can now go back to being complete morons for the rest of the series now that we've got you hooked in. Thank you all for joining us on this episode. We are eternally grateful for your support. This is a new feed. So bear in mind that we are working on making sure that it's available on all of your podcast outlets. It takes time for it to get out there, but it will arrive shortly on there. So just keep an eye on there. We've always informed you when we've got it up there. If you want to keep all things abreast on Dimp Digital, there's two methods now. One, you can head over to dimpdigital.com. That is our website. Secondly, if you have an iPhone, you can download our very own Dimp Digital app from the Apple Store. I shit you not. Chappers, who is our webmaster here at Dimp Digital, has built this app from the ground up, and he's done a fantastic job. So head over there, give it a download. Give us some 5-star reviews if you want. Actually, definitely do that. If you are on Android, which is the one true mobile operating platform, we are trying to publish the app on Google Play, but Google don't believe that we are the actual owners of all the Dimp Digital content. For some reason, they're having a hard time believing that. But check our social media channels, Facebook and Twitter. As soon as we get that issue cleared, we'll post it on there so you guys can go out and download it. But that is it for now. Game over. It's goodbye from Logan.
See ya.
It's goodbye from Hall.
Ta-ra.
And it's goodbye from me, Apps. Thanks for your time, and ta-da.